The night swallowed Evelyn as she staggered along the dirt road, her hand pressed against her swollen belly. Every step felt heavier than the last, but it wasn't just her body she carried, it was the weight of her dying mother, the memory of Alexander, and the shadow of Isabella, who would not rest until she was gone. The beam of headlights cut through the darkness. A car slowed, its sleek body glinting faintly beneath the moonlight. The door opened with a groan, and a tall figure stepped out, his face obscured by shadow. Evelyn froze. Her breath hitched. Was this salvation, or the hand of death in disguise? "Are you lost?" The stranger's voice was calm, almost too calm. Her throat tightened. She wanted to run, but her trembling legs betrayed her. Days blurred after that night. The stranger introduced himself as Victor Chow, a man who lived alone at the edge of a quiet village. His home was small, its wooden walls weathered, its roof patched with iron sheets, but within it, Evelyn found a fragile peace. Each morning, Victor set food on the table. Each night, he draped a blanket across her shoulders as she trembled from fever and fear. Slowly, her strength returned. Her hands caressed her belly, whispering soft promises to the life inside her. But the nights were merciless. Evelyn dreamed of her mother, thin, frail, her lips whispering her name. She dreamed of Alexander too, his face hidden in shadow, reaching for her while Isabella's laughter echoed in the dark. She often woke with tears streaking her face, whispering into the silence, "Mama." Alexander. One dusky evening, as lanterns flickered awake in the village, Evelyn found courage in her fragile chest. "Victor," she began softly, her fingers twisting in the hem of her dress. "You've shown me kindness, but I can't hide here forever. My mother, she's all I have left. She's with the Bonavia family. I have to find her. Please, help me." Victor's lips curled into a serene smile, his eyes unreadable in the dim light. "If that is what you want," he said smoothly, "then I will take you. You will see your mother again." Evelyn's heart leapt, fragile hope flickering to life. She whispered a trembling thank you, her hand resting protectively on her belly. But Victor's smile lingered long after she turned away. Behind it brewed something darker. He had not taken her in out of mercy. Fate had delivered into his hands a woman tied, unknowingly, to the fortune of one of the most powerful families in the city. A woman vulnerable, desperate, and carrying a child whose existence could unravel empires. Victor had no intention of letting her go easily. Meanwhile, in the Monroe mansion, Isabella ruled like a queen. With Evelyn gone, she glided through the marble halls, her laughter echoing against gilded walls. Every chair, every painting, every chandelier felt as though it belonged to her. Wedding planners swarmed the parlor, draping silk across tables, holding up diamond-stitched gowns for her approval. Gifts poured in from powerful families eager to secure her favor. Isabella basked in it all, her smile sharp and triumphant. Alexander sat on the far end of the room, silent. His parents beamed at him, whispering with relief that he had finally moved on from that distraction. To them, Evelyn had been nothing more than a blemish, a maid who had overstayed her place. But Alexander could not escape her. Evelyn's face haunted him. He saw her in the quiet corridors, in the empty corners of the house, in every shadow that lingered just a moment too long. He remembered her soft laugh, the way she whispered, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." He remembered the night he carried her broken body into the hospital, and the doctor's grim words that still clawed at his chest. She was gone, and yet she was everywhere. The storm inside him grew heavier with each passing day. And while Isabella preened in silk and jewels, convinced of her victory, she failed to notice the change in Alexander's eyes, the quiet rage that simmered, the questions that refused to die. For the truth has a way of clawing its way out of graves. And Evelyn's story was far from over. Every night Alexander closed his eyes, and Evelyn's face haunted him. Sick. Alone. Somewhere out there. And every morning he woke with guilt gnawing at his chest like fire. Isabella never noticed. She was too blind in her triumph, too wrapped in the glittering lie of her victory. To her, Evelyn was dead. To his parents, she had never mattered at all. But the truth was alive. And somewhere beneath storm and shadow, Evelyn was still fighting. That evening, Evelyn felt lighter than she had in months. She had finally told Chow about her desire to see her ailing mother. His smile had been calm, almost too calm. "Tomorrow," he promised. "I'll take you to her." Hope fluttered inside her like a fragile bird. That night she slept with her arms around her belly, whispering soft prayers for her unborn child. But deep into the night, she stirred. The soft creak of a door. The faint scrape of footsteps. Her eyes snapped open, her heart slamming against her ribs. In the dim lantern light, she saw him, Chow, his shadow long across the wall. Her voice cracked. "Chow, what are you doing?" He shut the door behind him with deliberate calm. The click of the lock sounded like thunder in the silence. "Evelyn," he said softly, too softly. "I've fed you. Sheltered you. Protected the child you carry. Don't you think it's time you repay me?" Her blood froze. "Repay you? What do you mean?" His smile twisted, cruel and hungry. "You're not a fool. You know exactly what I mean. Lay with me." Terror clawed at her, but fire lit in her chest. She shook her head violently, her hands cradling her swollen stomach. "I'm pregnant, Chow. How could you even?" "Pregnant or not," he cut in, his voice dropping low and dangerous, "tonight you give me what I want." Her eyes darted wildly. Then she saw it, the clay cup of tea left by the counter. The moment he reached for her, she seized the cup and hurled its steaming contents into his face. He howled, clutching his burning skin. Evelyn shoved past him, her bare feet smacking against the floor as she wrenched the lock open. The storm outside swallowed her. Rain lashed against her body, lightning splitting the night, but she ran. She ran with her belly heavy and her heart breaking, not daring to look back. By dawn, she stumbled into the edge of a small village, drenched and shivering. Just as her strength was about to fail, she heard a voice. "Are you all right?" A young woman in a patterned wrapper rushed to her side, her husband close behind. They looked barely older than Evelyn, hands clasped tightly, faces kind. For the first time in months, Evelyn felt the flicker of safety. "We know your mother," the woman said gently. "She hasn't been around for some time. But don't worry, when she returns, you'll see her. Come. Rest." Too tired to question, Evelyn let them lead her into their neat little home. She ate at their table, grateful, warmth seeping into her fragile bones. She believed, foolishly, that perhaps God had finally answered her prayers. But that night, thirst woke her. She padded quietly into the corridor. Then froze. The couple were at the table, whispering. "This is our chance," the wife hissed. "We've been barren for years. That child will be ours." The husband's voice trembled. "But, how? She will never agree. We'll lie. We'll tell her the baby died. She'll leave broken. And no one will question us." Evelyn's heart slammed in her chest. Every word was a blade. Their kindness had been nothing but a snare. By morning, when they entered her room, smiling with breakfast, the bed was empty. Evelyn was gone. She had vanished into the night once more, driven by the last of her strength. The road stretched endlessly, her swollen belly swaying, her feet raw against the earth. When she saw an old woman collapsed beneath a tree, she wanted to turn away. She had enough problems of her own. But her heart betrayed her. She staggered forward. "Ma, do you need help?" The frail woman raised her face, and Evelyn's knees buckled. "Mama," she whispered, her voice cracking. Evelyn collapsed beside her mother, pulling her frail body into her arms as tears streamed down her face. "Mama." Mama, it's me. Oh God, what happened to you? I thought, Kevin, he promised to take care of you. Her mother coughed, each breath rattling like dry leaves in the wind. She clung to Evelyn's arm with trembling fingers. He gave me into the hands of a woman. Isabella, she called herself. For 1 month she brought food, medicine, then she never came again. She left me here. She left me to die. The cry that tore from Evelyn's throat was raw, guttural. She rocked her mother against her chest as if her embrace could shield her from all the cruelty in the world. Isabella. Evelyn spat, her voice shaking with fury. You are evil. May heaven itself strike you down. With what strength remained in her swollen body, she lifted her mother, half dragging, half carrying her back to the crumbling hut they once called home. Inside, the air smelled of ash and dust, but Amara refused to surrender. She lit a fire, cooked thin soup from scraps, and nursed her mother through fevered nights. Days blurred into weeks. Despite her swollen belly, Evelyn fought like a soldier. She began roasting plantain by the roadside, her body aching under the sun, her back burning, her legs swollen, yet her spirit unbroken. The coins she earned were never enough, but every bite her mother ate, every night she slept without pain, was proof of Evelyn's will to fight. Yet as her belly grew heavier, a question gnawed at her: how long could her strength carry her before her body betrayed her? The mansion glittered that same night, golden lights spilling across polished marble. Gifts filled the parlor, wedding planners rushed in and out, servants bowed at every command. But in Alexander's private suite, the air was heavy with silence. Isabella stood before the mirror, diamonds glittering at her throat. She admired herself until she noticed Alexander's reflection behind her, his jaw clenched, his hands buried deep in his pockets, his eyes fixed somewhere far beyond the room. Alexander, she snapped, irritation curling her voice. What is it now? You've been brooding all evening. This is supposed to be the happiest week of our lives, and you look as though someone has died. Alexander turned slowly, his eyes shadowed with a grief she could not bear. Please, Isabella. Allow me this. Evelyn, she was kind. She was good-hearted. Is it wrong for me to mourn her? Isabella's hands froze on her necklace. For a moment, the mask slipped, and her eyes hardened like stone. You still mourn that girl, she hissed. Alex, she was a maid. A distraction. And she is gone. Dead. Yet you let her memory poison what we have. His voice rose, breaking through the polished calm he always wore. Don't ever call her just a maid, he thundered. She was more woman than you will ever be. She risked everything for me, and you think I should forget her? Erase her? If you believe that, then you do not know me at all. The silence that followed was a blade between them. Isabella's chest heaved with fury, her nails digging crescents into her palm. Alexander shook his head, turned on his heel, and stormed out, leaving her trembling with rage. That same night, far from the glittering mansion, Evelyn dragged herself home. Her basket of roasted plantain was still full. Not a single sale. Her arms ached, her belly throbbed, her feet burned. When she pushed open the hut's door, her strength crumbled. The basket clattered to the floor, and she sank beside it, tears spilling without restraint. Her mother rushed to her, touching her shoulder gently. Evelyn, my child, it was a bad day. Tomorrow will be better. Evelyn shook her head, her voice weak and broken. Mama, no one bought. Not one person. How do we go on like this? You need food, you need medicine. I can't keep struggling like this. I must go to the city. I must find Alex. Her mother stiffened. For weeks she had asked the question Evelyn always avoided: who was the father of her child? Now, too exhausted to hide, Evelyn lifted her tear-stained face and whispered. It is Alex, Mama. Alexander, the billionaire. He saved me when we had nothing. He took me in, cared for me. But he doesn't know the evil Isabella planned. He thinks I'm dead." Her mother gasped, clutching her chest. "Alexander? And this? Isabella, she is the one he trusts." "Yes," Evelyn breathed. "She poisoned me, Mama. She bribed the doctor to kill me. He warned me to run. And I did. But I cannot keep running. Alexander deserves to know the truth. He deserves to know his child is alive." Her mother's hand clutched Evelyn's with desperate strength, her sunken eyes flashing with fear. "No, child. Don't go back. You heard the doctor's warning. If they wanted you dead once, they'll try again. What if this time they succeed? What if you never return to me?" Her voice broke into sobs, but Evelyn only held her hand tighter, her own tears falling silently. That night, when her mother's frail body finally surrendered to uneasy sleep, Evelyn leaned down and kissed her forehead with trembling lips. "Forgive me, Mama," she whispered into the dark. "I must do this. For you. For this child. For the truth." And before dawn broke, she slipped out into the night, leaving behind the one person who needed her most. The bus to the city was overcrowded and suffocating. Evelyn sat pressed between strangers, clutching her bundle of clothes to her chest, one hand always resting on her swollen belly. Around her, voices buzzed like bees, full of excitement. "Have you heard?" a man exclaimed. "The great billionaire Alexander, his wedding is today." A woman clapped her hands with delight. "They say no wedding in this country has ever matched it. The bride, Isabella, is a goddess." Evelyn's heart sank. The words hammered against her chest until she thought she might shatter. "Alexander, married?" She bit her lip, fighting tears, but determination burned behind her eyes. "If the wedding is today, then this is my last chance." By the time the bus rolled into the city, the air was electric. The streets overflowed with dancers and drummers, flower petals rained down from balconies, and traffic crawled under the weight of celebration. The mansion stood at the heart of it all, draped in banners, garlands, and silk. Inside the mansion, Alexander sat in his chamber, attendants fussing over his white agbada, friends laughing and toasting to his happiness. Yet his reflection in the tall mirror was that of a haunted man. One friend clapped his shoulder. "Alex, this is your wedding day. Why do you look as though you marched to your death?" Alexander's voice was low, almost a whisper. "Because my heart does not belong to her. It never will." Another laughed. "My brother, marriage is not always about love. My wife and I had nothing at first. But we built something. You will learn to love Isabella." Alexander's jaw tightened. His voice cracked. "But I don't want to learn to love. I want truth. I want a life with the woman who carried my soul in her hands." Below, Isabella glided through the parlor in her glittering gown, her face shining like polished glass. Guests bowed and praised her beauty, her parents whispered with greedy satisfaction, already dreaming of the wealth their daughter had secured. She smiled at every word, every bow, every envious glance. To all, she was already the queen of the mansion. The ceremony began with drums and song. Guests filled the hall, the chandeliers blazing, the scent of roses heavy in the air. Isabella walked down the aisle on her father's arm, her smile radiant, her steps rehearsed to perfection. Alexander stood at the altar, every muscle tight, every breath heavy. And then, the doors burst open. Gasps rippled through the hall. Heads turned. Evelyn stood there, her swollen belly leading her forward, her dress clinging to her trembling form. Her eyes were fire, her steps unsteady but unyielding. The crowd erupted in whispers, some in shock, some in disbelief, others in fascination. Alexander's knees almost buckled. For one terrifying moment, he thought he was seeing a ghost. "Evelyn," he whispered, his voice breaking. Isabella froze, her smile collapsing into horror. Then fury twisted her face. "You," she spat, rushing forward, her gown dragging behind her like a storm cloud. "You were supposed to be dead." Gasps filled the air again. Alexander staggered down from the altar, his heart pounding as he moved toward Evelyn, but the hall had already descended into chaos. Before Isabella could reach her, a man rose from among the guests. His face pale, his hands clutching a file of documents. The doctor. His voice trembled, but his words cracked like thunder. "I cannot stay silent anymore. Stella paid me to kill her. Paid me to end Amara's life in the hospital. I refused. And here is the proof." The hall erupted, some shouting in outrage, others scrambling to escape the scandal. Alexander grabbed Evelyn, steadying her as she swayed, while Isabella's shrieks tore through the hall like a banshee's cry. Guards rushed in. Her parents shouted in protest, but their faces had already turned ashen with shame. Weeks later, Isabella's name was nothing but a curse, her face plastered across newspapers as the disgraced bride imprisoned with her family. But Evie's name, Evelyn's story, rose like dawn. No longer the maid. No longer the girl betrayed and left to die. She became Alexander's wife. The mother of his son. And together they lived happily ever after.